31 lawmakers just completed their first term in the Texas House. Some members of this year's freshman class had a distinct impact on legislation that moved from the Capitol to the governor's desk. Moments after the session ended, DuPree spoke with two of those new members. We start with Republican Don McLaughlin. His experience as mayor of Uvalde led him to push through the Uvalde Strong Act. It requires Texas school districts to train alongside law enforcement agencies as part of a new statewide protocol to handle active shooting situations. It's legislation that could have a significant impact across the state.
It's very meaningful. I'm ecstatic over it, but at the same token, I'm sad that we had to pass a law like this, that required that to protect our schools the way we need to.
What would you say about how this would address some of the failures during that day 3 years ago?
Well, what I see in this bill more than anything is if an agency shows up, all these agencies have been training together, are supposed to be meeting together now. So if the first agency on the scene does nothing, the second agency immediately knows what to do. That we won't have that chaos and that indecision that we saw that day at Uvalde.
What communication have you had with the governor's office? Is it likely that he's going to sign this into law?
I saw the governor one day. He said it's an exciting piece of legislature. He led me to believe that yes, it will be signed and passed.
Okay, I know you'll be watching that very closely for sure.
Yes, sir, very closely.
Well, the families there in Uvalde, some of them who have lost children in this, I know that when you and I spoke just maybe a few months ago, you said you had not consulted with them about this particular legislation, but what would you hope they take away from this?
Well, we can't bring back their children. I wish we could. I wish we could turn the clock back and bring them back. But one of the things that they had mentioned in meetings that I had was communication with the officers, training with the officers, accountability with the officers. This bill will give them that in the future. I mean, can't change. I can't bring their children back. I can't change that. But no, going forward, if an agency fails to come to these trainings, doesn't do it, and something like this happens, they'll be able to hold those people accountable.
Will also spoke with Houston Democrat Lauren Ashley Simmons. The House Democratic Caucus named her Freshman of the Year. She told us about legislation that had personal significance.
I really want to talk to you about one that's awaiting the governor's signature, and that's House Bill 107. This would create a sickle cell disease registry here in Texas. I know that this is something very personal to you. So can you talk a little bit more about what inspired that legislation to bring that forward?
Absolutely. So I have to, first give reverence to Representative Jarvis Johnson and Senator Boris Miles, who brought that bill forward last session and cleared the hurdles of both the House and the Senate, and it was vetoed on the governor's desk. And so my daughter has sickle cell disease. That was a bill I watched very closely. I was in tears when it did not become law, but I had no idea that I would be in the legislature and I would be that person that was able to bring that bill back. And so, from sitting at home crying with my daughter about it, fast forward to now, and not only, just every step of the way, it got a low bill number. It was a speaker priority. It is sitting on the governor's desk, and you really gain a lot of respect for the process when you see just how many ways a bill can die. I was joking with one of my colleagues, and I said, I thought that concurrence part was just largely ceremonial and just procedural, but, people were calling points of orders at that point. And so just understanding that at any given point, it is so much easier for a bill to die than get passed. I'm really, proud of the work we did as a team. And it was a bipartisan effort, so I'm very excited, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed and knocking on wood, but I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to get that sickle cell registry established.
You can see more from our interviews right now on our website. We have it all in this week's State of Texas story. Just look for the links to additional coverage from the session and the aftermath. Thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.